Hello, curious minds. Welcome to a new intellectual journey. Today we confront a question that defines our modern existence. Have you ever felt trapped in a system that prioritizes efficiency over humanity? That the world has lost its magic and become a cold, calculating machine? That feeling of being a cog in a giant machine is no coincidence. It was diagnosed more than 1 century ago by one of history's most brilliant and complex thinkers. We're talking about Max Weber, the architect of modern sociology, a man who saw the future with chilling clarity. Weber didn't just study society, he dissected the soul of modernity. He explained why we work the way we do, why we obey our leaders, and how, ironically, the religious pursuit of salvation ended up trapping us in what he called the iron cage of rationality. Today we're going to deconstruct his masterpiece, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, but we'll go much further. We'll understand his theory of power, bureaucracy, and politics. Get ready, because after this video, you'll see your office, your school, and your government with completely different eyes. Before we begin, a brief but important note. To bring this complex narrative to life, I've used artificial intelligence tools to generate the images you see. Think of them as a canvas, an atmospheric illustration to accompany our ideas, not as literal historical documents. To understand Weber, we must first place him in his context. Born in 1864 in Germany, Weber grew up in a divided household. His father was a hedonistic politician who enjoyed earthly pleasures, while his mother was a devout and ascetic Calvinist, concerned with morality and duty. This family tension between worldly pleasure and strict duty not only marked his psyche, leading to severe nervous breakdowns, but also became the driving force behind his work. Weber wanted to understand how personal beliefs, what we carry within us, end up shaping the gigantic structures of economics and history. Unlike Karl Marx, who believed that economics determined everything else, Weber proposed something revolutionary. He said that ideas, culture, and religion could be the causes of economic change, and not just their consequences. For him, the human spirit had the power to change matter. Here enters his fundamental method, interpretive sociology. In German, he called it Verstehen. It's not just about counting statistics on how many people vote or buy. It's about understanding the subjective meaning that actors give to their actions. Why do you do what you do? What does it mean to you? Imagine a man cutting wood. If we only observe the physical act, we understand nothing. Is he doing it to survive? To earn money? Or is it a religious ritual? Sociology, according to Weber, must interpret that internal meaning. Without intellectual empathy, social data is just empty noise. To navigate this chaos of human motivations, Weber invented an intellectual tool, ideal types. A word of caution, ideal doesn't mean perfect or desirable. It signifies a pure mental construct, an exaggerated caricature of reality that we use as a measuring stick to compare with the real world. For example, there's no pure capitalism in reality, nor a pure democracy, but we create the ideal type of democracy to see how close or far a real country is from that model. It's a diagnostic tool, not a photograph of the reality. It's like the platinum iridium meter standard. Armed with these tools, Weber set out to solve a historical enigma. He observed that in the Germany of his time, and in Europe in general, business leaders, capital owners, and the most qualified technical personnel were, overwhelmingly, of Protestant confession. This was strange. Historically, Catholics had held power. Why were Protestants, who were supposedly meant to focus on the Bible and faith, so successful at accumulating wealth? Was there something in their theology that inadvertently fostered capitalism? Here his most famous thesis is born. Weber travels back in time to the Protestant Reformation and focuses on a key figure, John Calvin. Calvinism introduced a terrifying and powerful theological idea called predestination. Pay close attention because this concept changed the history of our economy. Predestination says that God, from the beginning of time, has already decided who is saved and who is condemned to hell. There's nothing you can do to change it. Neither your good deeds, nor your prayers, nor buying the church's forgiveness can alter the divine decree. Your fate is already sealed. Imagine the existential anxiety this caused. Believers desperately ask themselves, am I one of the chosen ones? How can I know? In Catholicism, you could confess and feel forgiven. Not here. You were alone before an inscrutable and distant God. To quell this unbearable anxiety, Calvinist pastors began to suggest a psychological solution. They said that succeeding in your calling, working hard and disciplined, could be a sign, a symptom that you were one of the chosen ones. Worldly success is a mirror of divine grace. Here Weber introduces the concept of Beruf, which in German means profession, but also vocation or calling. Luther had already said that serving God was not just for monks, but that any honest work was sacred. Milking cows or weaving cloth was as spiritual as praying. But the Puritans and Calvinists took this to the extreme. It wasn't enough to just work, One had to work methodically, without rest, without wasting a single minute. Time is money, yes, but for them, wasting time was losing the opportunity to glorify God. Laziness became the worst sin. This created what Weber calls inner-worldly asceticism. Asceticism means renunciation of pleasure. Inner-worldly means within the world. Unlike the monk who flees the world, the Puritan lives in the world, works furiously in it, but renounces enjoying its fruits. Think of the mathematical formula that results from this. If you work obsessively to glorify God and earn a lot of money, but your religion forbids you from spending it on luxuries, parties, alcohol, or pleasures, what happens to that money? It can't just sit still under the mattress. Exactly. The money is reinvested. It's used to improve the business, buy more machinery, expand production. This cycle of capital accumulation, driven not by greed, but by moral duty, is what lit the fuse of modern capitalism, according to Weber. The Puritan wanted to be a professional in his work. He didn't work to live, he lived to work. This work ethic transformed the European economy. Wealth stopped being seen as something suspicious and came to be seen as a confirmation that God was on your side. But, and here comes the tragic twist of history, over the centuries, the religious root withered. People kept working hard, kept pursuing success and accumulating wealth, but they forgot the original motive. Faith evaporated, but the economic behavior remained. Weber utters a stark phrase: "The Puritan wanted to be a professional, we are forced to be." What began as a spiritual choice became an economic system that compels all of us to adopt that frantic pace if we don't want to perish in the market. Capitalism, once ignited, no longer needed the fuel of religion. It became a self-sufficient mechanical force. And here is where Weber introduces his most melancholic concept, the disenchantment of the world, or in German, Entzauberung. Disenchantment doesn't mean sadness, but rather the elimination of magic as a way to explain reality. In the ancient world, a lightning bolt was the wrath of Zeus. In the modern world, it's an electrical discharge explainable by physics. Everything becomes calculable, predictable, technical. Science and technical reason have swept away the mysteries. We no longer pray for rain, we seed clouds or build irrigation systems. We've gained control over nature, yes, but we've lost the sacred meaning of life. The world has become a causal mechanism. This process of rationalization didn't stop with nature. It invaded our social relationships. And the ultimate expression of this rationality in society is bureaucracy. For Weber, bureaucracy isn't just annoying paperwork, it's the most efficient form of human organization. Bureaucracy is to government what the machine is to industry. It's precise, fast, and above all impersonal. In a perfect bureaucracy, your feelings don't matter, nor who your father is. What matters is the rule, the file, the position. It's the triumph of the rule over caprice. However, this efficiency comes at a terrible human cost. Weber feared that the world would be filled with specialists without spirit, pleasure seekers without heart. He imagined a future where we would be small cogs in a giant state and corporate machine, unable to move freely. This is the iron cage, a perhaps inaccurate translation of the German term that means steel-hard casing. It's an economic and bureaucratic system from which we cannot escape. We are born into it, and it compels us to live under its rules of efficiency and calculation. Now then, how is this cage governed? Weber developed a fascinating theory of power. He defined the state in a way we still use today. The state is that human community which successfully lays claim to the monopoly of legitimate physical violence within a given territory. Notice the word legitimate. The mafia uses violence, but it's not legitimate. The state gets us to obey not only out of fear, but because we believe it has the right to command us. Weber calls this authority or domination. And he distinguished three pure types of authority. First, traditional authority. We obey because it has always been that way. It's the power of kings, patriarchs, feudal lords. Legitimacy comes from the past, from sacred custom. It's stable but irrational. You don't ask why, you just uphold tradition. Second, like charismatic authority. Here we obey because the leader has an exceptional gift and almost magical charisma. It's the prophet, the war hero, the revolutionary demagogue. People follow him out of personal devotion. It's a volcanic power, capable of breaking history. But charisma is unstable. If the leader dies or fails, the system collapses. That's why the fate of charisma is to become routinized, to become an institution. And so we arrive at the third type, the one that dominates our modern world, rational legal authority. In rational legal authority, we obey the law, not the person. The president doesn't command because he's the son of a king or a prophet, but because he won an election under established rules. We obey the office, not the individual. It's the foundation of modern democracy. Weber saw that the world was inevitably moving towards this legal and bureaucratic authority. But he also warned about the danger of politics in this environment. In his famous lecture, Politics as a Vocation, He distinguished two ways of acting ethically in public life. On one hand, the ethic of conviction. Here, the politician acts according to their absolute principles, regardless of the consequences. If I am a pacifist, I don't take up arms, even if that means my country is invaded. I do what is right according to my morals, and I leave the outcome in God's hands. On the other hand, the ethic of responsibility. This politician calculates the consequences of their actions. They know that sometimes you have to make a deal with the devil to prevent a greater evil. They take charge of the results, not just the intentions. For Weber, the true politician must possess this ethic. The great politician is one who manages to combine both, having passion for a cause, conviction, but also moderation and cold calculation to achieve it, responsibility. It's a tragic and difficult balance. Weber knew that politics is not child's play, it's a pact with violent forces. Max Weber died in 1920, a victim of the Spanish flu, leaving his magnum opus, Economy and Society, unfinished. But his legacy is immense. He anticipated the world of experts, technocracy, and the administrative coldness we sometimes feel today. He is often contrasted with Marx. While Marx saw class struggle and material exploitation, Weber saw rationalization and bureaucratic domination. Marx believed that revolution would free us. Weber feared that socialism would only bring an even larger and heavier bureaucracy. His vision may seem pessimistic. He speaks of a disenchanted world where the gods have fled and only rules remain. But he also gives us the tools to understand our situation. He teaches us that culture matters, that our beliefs shape the economy. Weber's sociology is a call to clear-sightedness. He asks us to look reality in the face without romantic illusions. He tells us that it is we, with our values and decisions, who give meaning to a universe that by itself is indifferent. We live in the house Weber described. We work under the ethic he analyzed, and we obey the laws he classified. Reading Weber is in many ways reading the instruction manual for the modern world. Perhaps the iron cage will never fully open, but by understanding its bars, by knowing what they are made of, we regain a bit of our freedom, the freedom to understand. And perhaps, just perhaps, to find new meanings in this disenchanted world. If this analysis has helped you see your surroundings with new eyes, if you felt the weight of the cage or the spark of understanding, don't keep these ideas to yourself. Philosophy and sociology thrive on dialogue. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the mind of Max Weber. It has been a privilege to share these ideas with you. Subscribe for more rigorous explorations. Like this video if you value quality educational content, and comment, do you think we are still living under the Protestant work ethic? See you in the next reflection. Until then, keep your curiosity alive. Cut to black. End of transmission. Credits. But wait, there's one more nuance. Let's briefly talk about the difference between instrumental rationality and value rationality. It's crucial for understanding our daily decisions. Instrumental rationality is, well, instrumental. I look for the best technical way to build a bridge or earn money. It's pure engineering. It doesn't ask if the bridge is moral, only if it stands. Value rationality is different. I act because I believe in the intrinsic value of the action. I help a friend not because it benefits me, but because loyalty is a value to me. Weber saw that modernity tips the scales towards ends, forgetting values. This predominance of technique over ethics is what creates the danger of specialists without spirit. People very capable of executing complex orders, but incapable of questioning the morality of those orders. Returning to religion, Weber also studied the religions of China and India. He wanted to see why capitalism didn't emerge there, even though they had advanced technology and trade. His answer reinforces his thesis. He found that although there was wealth, that salvation anxiety of Calvinism was missing. Confucianism sought harmony with the world, not its frantic transformation. Hinduism sought to escape the cycle of reincarnations, not accumulate capital. This demonstrates that capitalism is not a natural evolution of history, as some thought, but a cultural anomaly arising from a very specific religious mutation in one corner of Europe. It's fascinating to think that our Excel spreadsheets and Zoom meetings have a distant ancestor in the monasteries and Reformed churches of the 16th century. Weber also left us the concept of status group versus social class. For Marx, your class depended on your money and property. Weber added status, honor, prestige, lifestyle. A poor priest can have more status than a vulgar nouveau riche. Society is a complex network where we fight not only for money, but for social recognition and honor. This makes Weber's analysis much richer for understanding today's society, where sometimes the prestige of being an influencer or an artist is socially worth more than having a sizable bank account. Objectivity in social sciences was another of his great themes. Weber said that professors should not use the lecture hall to preach their political opinions. The classroom is for analyzing facts, not for indoctrinating. He called this value neutrality. The researcher chooses their topic based on their values, what interests them, but once they investigate, they must be honest with the data, even if it contradicts their desires. It's a difficult, almost impossible ideal, but a necessary one. In a world of fake news and post-truth, Weberian intellectual honesty is more urgent than ever. Thus, Weber stands as a titan. He didn't found a political religion like Marx, but he gave us the lenses through which to see the skeletal structure of our society. His life was a constant struggle against his own mental demons, working himself to exhaustion. Perhaps he himself was a victim of that Protestant ethic he described so well. In the end, Weber leaves us with an uncomfortable question. In this cage of efficiency and bureaucracy, what kind of human beings are we forging? Free men or docile cogs? The answer is not in his books. We write the answer ourselves every day with our decisions resisting dehumanization or yielding to it. Remember that the cage is strong, but it was built by humans. And what was built by humans can be modified by humans. This has been the true conclusion. A journey through bureaucracy, power, religion, and status, all connected in the mind of a German genius. I hope this video serves you as a tool. Use it to analyze your work, your school, the news. Weber is a Swiss Army knife for the mind. If you've made it this far, you are part of that minority that seeks deep understanding. Thank you for your time and attention, the most valuable resource you have. Now I bid you farewell. Don't forget that reality is complex, but understanding it is the first step to avoid being crushed by it. I am your guide on this journey of knowledge. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next analysis.